On this episode of the History of New Babylon, I have a talk with Skipper about one of the biggest trials to happen in Babylon. We also learn more about the man himself. Please enjoy.
The name is Skipper Jones. I was in a gang called Cyprus. Very emotionally testing gang. And did a lot of bad things. Things I don't regret. Things that I never thought I would ever do. Well, CJ and I were cousins. We've always been close. I was already in Cyprus for several months before CJ showed up to Los Santos. So, unfortunately, sometimes I do wonder if I did the right thing by bringing my family into that line of work. But at the end of the day, she's an adult and she made the decision as well. We've always been close. We've always had a strong relationship, and I think there'll be only extreme measures to really tarnish that.
My name is Charlie Jones, or CJ. Yeah, I grew up a large part of my childhood I spent in Canada. I kind of wanted to see a different part of the world. I wanted to live my own life away from my parents. Skipper and I have always had a pretty good relationship. He suggested moving to Los Santos, said that there was great opportunities here, some great people here. I got off the flight, we reconnected, as he said, and then my life got crazy from there.
Well, Cyprus had crews within the organization. There's a crew called 404, and it's actually a big piece of Cyprus. We started off as weed pushers, and oftentimes you would find us in the alleyway called the Butyrol Alley, and we'd be there for hours on end pushing weed. How the sub crews worked is they would have weekly meetings and see which crew made the most money. So it was a competition. The way we generated our money came from selling dope, robbing shit, and other nefarious activities. But for the most part, we were big dope sellers.
I guess what I'll say about my time in Cyprus with Skipper is I think I grew a lot as a person, and I'm just glad that we both ended up where we are today.
What was your role working at Barney's?
Oh, yes. Great Barney's. I helped Sab oversee Barney's. We'd have a morning routine. We'd have to post up our posters of bets that we got going with parlays. We would take in new customers. We would throw dice. Oh, man. Probably one of the best times of my life.
Yes, yeah, I did work at Blarney's. My role at Blarney's, I worked a lot with the slot machine, which made a lot of money for Blarney's. R.I.P. to I think it was named Jennifer or something. I don't know. People grew there was people in the city that grew a probably unhealthy connection or maybe obsession with the slot machine and their gambling addiction. I think I was probably a big part of that. Sorry to those people, but R.I.P. Blarney's, were missed.
Barney's ended very tragically. Everything that we worked for it all went bad over one event. we were famous for these amazing events that we were throwing. We tried to do the biggest one yet, and we made a massive circuit go-kart race event. And it went horrible. And we came back and we left ourselves with no choice. We had to run away. So we covered the place in gas, and a bomb went down, and Sab tried to defuse it. It went wrong, and Barney's blew up. Millions. I'm talking millions of hard cold cash is burning in the flames as we exited this building that we once felt like home. And we fled. And we had to run away from Los Santos. It was the only way that Barney's could cease from existing.
So we just learned a little bit about Skipper before Babylon. Now we're going to skip ahead to one of the biggest trials New Babylon faced.
I believe Skipper's trial had to do with him taking Edgar to outside medical, aka the hospital within the city, instead of to Babylon for care. This was at a time where I ended up nearly dying due to my injuries for, I believe, the same sort of thing. We were being bombed. There was explosions everywhere, fire everywhere. So I was not conscious for most of what happened. But the story that I got was Edgar was dying and in Skipper's car, and they got separated from everyone else. I believe Edgar's heart actually stopped at a certain point, and Skipper was trying to bring him back to life, then concluded that he would not be able to be brought back to life through Babylonian medical being going to outside help, or do we save a Babylonian's life? Like, do we let them die or do we break the codex? And Skipper made the decision to save Edgar and break the codex.
So, how I got myself put on the first biggest trial. This was right after Wee Wee's trial. We, at this time during Babylon, we were often getting attacked by members of the Faceless. It was a pretty regular occurrence, and we had plans set in place to evac locations that we would, as a group, take a route to a location and safely get to said location. Well, on this day, the location that we went to was burned, and we already had individuals, as in Babylonians, that were down. We brought them into this location. We started giving them aid, and that's when an explosion went off. Several Babylonians were caught in this explosion, and there was one man, Edgar. He was caught in this explosion, and he was already injured. We evac out of that spot, and we made the call to go to the nudist camp. Now, during this chaos, communication got muddy. I was under the assumption we were going to the nudist camp, but turns out the group regrouped and decided to go to another location after I was already sending it there. I got to the nudist camp. Edgar was dying in the vehicle. I pulled him out of the vehicle. When I pulled up, he had no pulse. He was getting cold to the touch. And it was a dead man. There was a dead man laying right in front of me. I had two options. I either don't try to put my best effort into saving Edgar here and using what I can to try to bring a dead man back to life, or I take the man to the hospital. And I went with the latter. I put Edgar back in the vehicle. I drove him straight to the hospital. Had I not done that, Edgar would have died that day. I had the doctors nurse Edgar to a healthy enough state. Made notion that they were going to put him in the ICU. I held up the doctor. I told her to hand over Edgar. I placed Edgar in the vehicle, brought him back to Babylon. The problem is he started to die again rapidly. So I had to make the choice again, and I called Dr. Stacy. I told Dr. Stacy, I've made a mistake. I need Edgar to return to the hospital. She said, no questions asked. She got Edgar. I brought Edgar to the hospital, and he was safely secure in the ICU. This was a very, very big thing because this is the first time the Codex was violated in a very serious manner. We had a massive trial that went down, and I was found guilty of breaking the Codex, as I was relying on outside institutions and things, such as the hospital. And I also put Babylon in danger, as I held up the doctor to give over Edgar. My punishment was as follows. I would be exiled temporarily to the forest for several days. Then upon my return, I could not speak. I would to be a mute for several more days. And then that following Monday, I would be able to speak after I fully delivered the Codex word for word.
This is the end of part 1 of this episode. In part 2, we talk with Skipper about his time in exile and coming back to Babylon. See you then.